Well, welcome to this edition of the BCStrategies Experts podcast. I'm joined by a wonderful collection of the BCStrategies Experts. And today, what we're going to do is recap, the year that was 2023. And one of the things that I love about BCStrategies is, with this, elite collection of independent consultants and analysts and thought leaders. There's lots of different perspectives. So I'm super excited to kind of hear from my other experts what they thought some of the key themes and hot topics were from 2023. And to get us started, I'm going to turn it over to Blair Pleasant, who always has great and deep insights. So Blair, the year that was 2023, what stood out for you?
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I'm going to leave talking about generative AI for others because I know that's going to be the hot topic. So for me, because I cover both UC and contact center, what I found most interesting in 2023 was the increased role and importance of CCaaS, contact center, and customer experience, even from non-typical contact center players. So it was really interesting, like at their customer conferences, both Cisco and Zoom included contact center in their keynotes, and they had demos and speakers focusing on it. And again, not, it used to be they would talk about it in their breakout sessions, but not on the keynote stage. And this year, Cisco, Zoom, even Microsoft talked about Copilot for Service in their recent Ignite conference. So I think it's really important that contact center and CX have really come into their own in 2023, and everyone's taking notice. And companies like 8x8, Dialpad, Ring Central, they all are primarily UCaaS vendors, and now they're really highlighting their contact center and CCaaS capabilities. Avaya was talking about their North Star being their CCaaS platform. Ring Central just introduced a new offering, Ring CX. So I think it's really fair to say that CX and contact center really stole the show in 2023.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I always think that the contact center, it's an easier place to prove return on investment. So I think that that's why we're seeing, even with the generative AI, that somebody else will mention. So thank you. That was definitely a key theme for 2023. Over to you, Melissa. What stood out for you? And you can't repeat what Blair said. It gets harder.
Okay,
It gets harder as it goes.
I'll go ahead and talk about AI. I was one of the judges for the Best of Show for Enterprise Connect, and what struck me as that, I mean, there was an artificial intelligence category, but even in a lot of the other categories, there was a lot of AI type capability. And so, I mean, we were seeing AI in everything from headsets to diagnostic tools and contact center capabilities as well, but AI that was addressing job roles like sales, for example. And so
Right.
it just the depth and breadth of the AI. And in addition, years ago when AI was in there, people were saying this is AI, and it was really like math. I mean, it wasn't really truly
Right.
AI. And so the intelligence behind the applications and the fact that they are just everywhere was really really showed up in the entries for almost every single category for Best of Show. There was some type of AI hidden in there somewhere. Some of them were leading with AI and some of them weren't, but it was just, it was noise reduction. It was just the speech recognition and transition. It was everything. So I think, it was like we talked about it a lot, but all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Right.
And I saw that more this year than I'd seen that before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my breakfast cereal says now with AI added. Right?
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain. And to your other point, I did a presentation where I said it doesn't matter. AI doesn't matter because, to your point, it's still, whether it's good math or good software or AI. I mean, I still think it's really about improving business productivity or business benefits, and I think we're still all trying to figure that out, right? So
that would be the point.
so maybe that'll be into the 2024 where we figure out how to use all of this. Chuck, you focus on slightly different things like all of the experts, and what stood out for you in 2023?
Well, going third here, it's more of a challenge to come up with something that's not called AI. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what David and Evan come up with. But
I know, yes.
to me, the topic that's of interest in 2023 is sort of picture an iceberg. And what we've all been talking about so far is the visible part of AI, the ROI, the bots, the things you see above the waterline. I think my topic is going to be what's below the waterline. What can't we see? And let's all remember what sank the Titanic. What was below the waterline that they didn't see. So these are conversations that I'm starting to see happen this year about AI below the waterline, we'll call it, or the underside of the glacier, the ethics of AI. And you can talk about that. And I know Martha's probably going, dang it, there goes my theme. The privacy issues of AI. We're going to be getting into that, believe me. The liability of AI and incorrect AI. Just today, I read about a lawyer that's citing a well-known case. The true cost of AI. I don't think we are even close to understanding not only the monetary cost, but in resources, internal overhead.
Right.
The impact of AI on your customer base, on your employees. So the big thing in 2023 is I see we're starting to say, the glamour's there. That's all great. The visible part above the waterline. But I'm starting to see, and the need for conversations of the topics I just mentioned, the below the waterline of AI.
Right. So I like what you did, because you kind of talked about the same topic as Melissa, but you did the whole like the upside down, the Stranger Things world. So, but absolutely, I think that those are going to be critical points, and so yeah, I like that iceberg. So I still think that leaves some opening for Martha to come up with another analogy. But we're going to go to Nicholas. I mean, Nicholas, you focus on, marketing, you can act as a fractional, CMO, chief marketing officer. So I'm interested, kind of from that different lens, what stood out for you in 2023?
Yeah, from an industry standpoint, I focus a lot on CX, and Chuck provided a wonderful transition, because for me, what stood up is the importance of data. And it's definitely something, and I love the analogy of the iceberg and what's below the line. So if you look at the prior year, vendors were mostly talking about their AI, the algorithm. And what we learned with both OpenAI and all the large models is the power and the difference that data can make. So it will have very profound transformation in the midterm. In the short term, I see four things happening. One, enterprise is starting to look how they can break data silos. And if you look at the way AI has been deployed so far, you add an application, the application ingests some data and live of it. I think enterprises will say, well, I want to be able to connect other data set, and I want you to leverage also some other data. So breaking the data silo is going to be number one. Two is data governance. Exactly the topics that Chuck mentioned. You see roles. So sometimes the chief data officer is taking a broader role. Sometimes it's a new C-suite level role to define the data governance and decide about all those issues, what data you're okay that someone is using to learn. Three is we are shifting to a multi-model approach. Yesterday, I was on a call with an insurance company. We were discussing a very specific use case, claims with a car accident involving bodily injuries. Okay. And already within a narrow use case like that, there were almost half a dozen of models, some commercial, some in-house that you need to manage. So these are the big changes that I see happening in the short term, and more to come. Over to you, Kevin.
Yeah, no, thank you for your perspective. Those are, absolutely important. Like that whole data governance thing, I know that's like the starting point. are you oversharing information? And I think when AI can scour all the sources, it's much different than a human. Maybe the humans had access to things that they shouldn't have, but they never noticed, and nobody is going to sit there and like look and try to access every file, whereas generative AI is going to reach out and pretty much pull in everything it can. So now, speaking of some of those downside liabilities, potentially ethical questions around AI, I'm going to turn over to Martha. So I don't know, Martha, was AI in your focus for 2023, or was there something else that stood out for you?
So I would say there are a couple of things. First of all, I hate to be the Eeyore on the group call, but liability is going to become a huge issue. And although this is a little bit off topic, I'm going to come right back in a second. When I talk about issues related to 911 and next generation 911, one of the questions that people always ask is, what's the penalty for noncompliance? And the answer is my favorite answer, which is it depends. There is no statutory definition. There have been no lawsuits that have come to trial, and there have been no government penalties imposed at this time. And the same applies for AI. I just wrote something for No Jitter that is in the editing process, so you should see it up in a day or two, about the new European Union AIA, the Artificial Intelligence Act, which is, it's going to make GDPR look like nursery school. And the penalties for noncompliance are going to be a multiple or a factor of overall gross corporate earnings. So this is going to be something that people are going to need to be paying very careful attention to. The Canadian regulations, the C27, doesn't come close to what the European standard is going to be. So from my perspective for 2023, I would say people are starting to ask better questions. They're not there yet. Any way you look at AI, there's a bias, and you need to manage to that. And I think people tend to think, oh, it's the answer to a lot of our questions. It isn't. It's a very useful tool, but it is not in and of itself the answer. And I'll just tell you very quickly. Saturday night, I had dinner with two friends who are physicians, and one of them does operating room analytics, and he determines how long different surgeries should take, and how to sort of map out use of various operating rooms. And he said, well, isn't AI the perfect solution for that? And I said, absolutely not, because there are two issues with AI that people often lose sight of. One of them is it has no common sense. And the second is that it is all based on what's happened in the past. So it does not have the capability of recognizing a challenge when a surgery comes up, the patient is opened up, and the doctor sees something that's completely different than what was expected. So Melissa and Chuck were in the room when this professor from North Carolina State made that comment about AI being strictly backward looking. And I think that's something that's really important to remember. So with that, I will go back to not being Eeyore.
Well, I know you and I, have presented on and just the data bias and whatever. So I'm, fascinated by reading your decoding of this new EU regulations, right? Because I saw that came out, but I don't have the legal background like you do to decode that. So I'm absolutely going to look for that No Jitter article. Thank you for, raising that. Now, let's see. Evan Kursel was next. So now we're getting down. What for you, Evan? What stood out? I mean, you're talking to multiple people every day. You're the expert of LinkedIn Live. You're the person that encouraged us as BCStrategies to do this. But thematically, 2023, what stood out for you? But you have to unmute.
Someone put me on mute. For me, it's the year generative AI. It really got real. For me, it got like incredibly useful, incredibly productive. It went from kind of a fun science project at the beginning of the year to something I use every day. And it's allowed me as like a content creator and a podcaster and a live streamer to 10x my output and my productivity. in ways that, would have required a team of, 5 to 7 people a year ago. In fact, I had 2 contractors I let go because of all the utility and productivity I was getting from not just ChatGPT, but many different tools that have incorporated large language models. So when I do a live stream like this, one click turns the audio transcript into a really well done blog, turns it into 12 tweets, formats it for different platforms, edits the video, levels the audio, and about 15 other things that I won't mention here. So all of a sudden, I feel like I have a team of 10 with the different tools I use. And I suspect there are a lot, I'm a bit of a different category, but I suspect there are a lot of white collar professionals who are finding similar personal productivity gains in some of the work they do. So for me, it's Gen AI, and I mean, just today, for example, I'm doing a little campaign with Intel. They're launching their big new Xeon processor, which has a lot of AI integration. And hey, go to DALI 3, create 8 different mock-ups of Xeon in different environments, different servers, different data centers. And the output looks as good as anything I'd get from a graphic designer or design agency. And I attach it and I'm done. So there's all kinds of goodness there for creators, for, social media, marketing, digital kind of opportunities that are just mind-blowing.
So that's great. I appreciate the very concrete examples. And now you're going to blow our mind and say, this isn't really Evan. This is a generative AI avatar. Maybe that'll
Yeah, I
be,
mean, there are companies like 11 Labs that will create a voice simulation. In fact, you can do it
Right.
on your iPhone. You can train your iPhone to speak your personal voice. It's for accessibility reasons, but it'll
Yeah.
sound just like you with about 100 different clips if you decide to do that. There are companies building avatars. So, a simple video like this would be very easy to create a deep fake, basically, of me. So, and on and on. So there's just no end now to the tools that are being rolled out.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And over to somebody who loves video. Let's do video, David Maldo. David, is that really you, or is this a very well done avatar? How can you prove it? It's like the Turing test.
It is hard to prove. The room isn't real, but I'm real.
Okay, that's good.
And I
So
have two thoughts.
what stood out in 2023 for you?
Two things. I actually have, of course, have something to say about AI. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. But I have a non-AI thing. This is
Good.
my first time attending the CEDIA conference because it's a residential technology conference, and I
Mm.
don't cover residential technology. But the blend between residential and commercial is happened. I was going to say happening, but it's happened. I expected some overlap, but there were so many booths. I would go to a booth and they'd say, "Oh, we've been making residential technology for years. We make home office desks and chairs or something. We have a lifting desk." And this year, if you go to the other side of our booth, we have a new, commercial side of the booth. We have a video bar. I'm like, you make standing desks and now you're making video bars for meeting rooms? And like, yeah, we we're good at technology. It's all the same. It's all video and audio and speakers and microphones, and it's all the same stuff now. And I'm like, it's always been the same stuff. This is so welcome. Our gear is personal. We wear our headphones. It's clothing.
Right.
We're talking to our microphones all day. It shouldn't be, this is my office microphone. This is my home. It should be whatever we're comfortable with. So I really welcome the complete blending between, I like how they call it Resi. Like, this is the Resi side of the booth between Resi and
Yes.
Resi. So that I think is a welcome trend. And of course, I have to say something about AI. And with everything that happened in AI this year, the thing that strikes me the most, that was the most like shocking, changed my view of the world, was the debacle at OpenAI. Because this is the smartest company in the world, the smartest people in the world, making technology that's going to transform humanity. This is such a noble, important enterprise. And they're idiots and lunatics. They're just as crazy as me as my family trying to have Thanksgiving together. They're nuts. So, I don't even know. I'm still trying to process it, but it makes me think maybe we don't know what's going on. Maybe you shouldn't take things so seriously. Have some more walks to the park with the wife. Eat some more ice cream. Just enjoy life, because who knows?
Yeah, because according to a lot of those very smart people, I don't know, by 2020 to 2040, there's a good chance that AI will reach super intelligence and take over the world. So yeah, so definitely, max out on your ice cream quota. So,
Exactly.
but you mentioned that CEDIA conference, because I also had the opportunity to attend that for the first time. I found it fascinating, except the thing that was problematic was there was a lot of really, really nice things that I could
Oh,
want to buy for my home, right? And it was just like, wow, I didn't know some of this stuff existed, and I'm not sure I'm happier now that I know that this exists for your house, right? But there was some fantastic stuff, and as you say, that kind of blend between the commercial and the resi space, that was fascinating. So I think, Blair, you said you had one more thing, and then I've left it to myself. Of course, I have nothing. But Blair, what you had one other topic you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I was kind of saving this for other people, and I was surprised no one mentioned it. But I mean, the main thing that I saw in 2023 was, the year of co-pilots and AI assistants
Mm,
and companions. Everyone has, some sort of, co-pilot or AI assistant based on generative AI. Microsoft, was one of the first, and, they introduced Microsoft 365 Copilot, but, Cisco has WebEx AI Assistant, and it works across the Cisco portfolio. Zoom has AI Companion, also a digital assistant that works across its platform. NICE introduced, 3 different Copilot type things. Google has Google Duet. Salesforce has Einstein Copilot. I mean, everybody has a Copilot now.
yeah.
And I think, next year, and we'll talk about this next week, but, we'll see even more and more companies. But, everyone has their own Copilot. And, we're seeing different pricing models. And I think that's going to shake out next year. But this year it was interesting to see, not only everybody introduced their, assistant, Copilot, whatever. I know Copilot's kind of a generic term, but Microsoft's also been using a lot. So I'm trying to differentiate. So I think the pricing models are different right now, and that's going to shake out a bit more. But I think, this was definitely the year of the Copilot and assistant.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Even today, I think, I spend most of my time in the Microsoft ecosystem helping vendors and organizations. Even today, I think Microsoft announced 4 new kind of co-pilots. I think that's with a big C versus a small c, but,
Yeah, I think they
Satya and
just had one
Alice,
for, yeah, I think they
yeah,
just announced one for education. And
yes, exactly. One for education that I think is, yeah. And the pricing models, as you say, I mean, are to be, figured out. I think WebEx, it's free for now. Zoom, it's free for now. But eventually, I mean, the inference, both the training and the inference to run these models takes a lot of horsepower. So
right.
somebody eventually is going to have to pay for that. Um, but, so I suspected that there was going to be a tremendous focus on AI. So the thing that, in knowing I was going to go last, one of the things I think for me that stood out in 2023 was the level of tech layoffs, right? So there's a site, layoff.fyi, that so far has tracked like 250,000 tech layoffs in 2023, which is up 50% from 2022. And I think, we're seeing, after the bulking up in the pandemic, where people were hiring like there's no tomorrow, maybe there wasn't. So now they're right sizing. You also have the interest rates from an economic perspective, and potentially AI. Because here we heard from Evan, there there was a concrete example of AI, potentially to part-time contractors or what have you. AI was able to take that over. So certainly, we've in previous years talked about consolidation, but the other thing that I read a New York Times article, they were talking about 3,200 startups that in 2023 effectively shut their doors. Partly because interest rates have changed the dynamic where growth at all costs. Um, but I think the economic climate has become a little more challenging, and so I think these big players around AI with these layoffs. I mean, this was something that I think was certainly new to the tech industry, so that stood out for me for 2023. But with that, I want to thank all of the BC Strategies experts. If you're watching this, I mean, just hopefully you appreciate just the wide variety of expertise and different points of view that this wonderful group, I always learn something from this group. So thank you very much. Next Tuesday, we'll have some of the same experts and some of the other experts who couldn't join today. We're going to not look back, but look forward into 2024. So please join us. It's going to be the same time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific time. And that's next Tuesday. And with that, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.